From high school to the oil fields to semi-pro football to country music superstardom. Is there anything more American than that? This week, the music world lost another, and in this case, it was Toby Keith, who died at age 62. In this, I'm going to go over just a quick history of Toby Keith's life, and while I do, head down into the comments section and leave your memory of him, whether you knew him, met him, or are just a fan of his music. Toby Keith Covell was born on July 8, 1961, in Clinton, Oklahoma. His love of music started when he visited his grandmother who owned a supper club. He would work odd jobs and normally find his way up onto the bandstand, and he got his first guitar when he was 8 years old. At 20, Keith started a band with his friends. They called themselves the Easy Money Band, in reference to their first gig, of which they got paid $1,000. That gig was a wedding. The money wouldn't come by quite as richly going forward. The band stayed together through Keith's various jobs, like I said, on the oil fields and playing defensive end for the Oklahoma City Drillers semi-pro football team. In 1984, they took their talents on the road and played the honky-tonk circuit, mostly in Oklahoma and Texas. Did that for years. But it wasn't until 1993 that Toby Keith got his break with his debut self-titled album. The album, made for Mercury Records, was a hit. The debut single, which was the biggest country hit of the decade, I Should Have Been a Cowboy, hit #1 on the country charts and even sneaked into the Hot 100. And it wouldn't be the last time, by far, that he made both of those lists. After his debut album, Keith left for Polydor, ending up again at Mercury a few years later, and once again leaving Mercury after they rejected a few of his songs that later ended up on his 1999 album, How Do You Like Me Now? The title actually being kind of fitting because How Do You Like Me Now, the song, was Keith's first big crossover hit, staking a claim at #1 on the Hot Country charts and hitting number 31 on the Hot 100. But it was the new millennium, the 2000s, that brought Keith to the forefront. Not only did his music continue to rise and gain in popularity, but it's his outspoken political views and really just his staunch support of the troops and his patriotism that became a characteristic of both his music and his image. And he also wasn't one to stray from controversy because of his beliefs. While lumped into the perception of country in the right wing, Keith was actually a Democrat up until the late 2000s, before coming in independent. In all of his controversies, probably of the decade, the most notable was his feud with Natalie Maines of the then Dixie Chicks. It was his song, courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, as well as their thoughts about the war and George Bush and the criticisms. But the song, courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, which Keith wrote after 9/11 and also was a tribute to his father who had died earlier in 2001 in a car accident, who was himself a soldier. It was the song that really sparked it all. Keith actually never originally thought about recording the song, but just playing it live for the troops. But at the urging of Commandant on the Marine Corps, James L. Jones, Keith recorded the song and it became this big crossover hit. Politically, Keith supported people on both sides of the aisle during the first decade of the new century. But again, it began and ended with his staunch support of the truth. In all that time, Keith actually started his own record label, Show Dog. Well, most of Toby Keith's music was tongue-in-cheek. None more so was 2011's smash hit Red Solo Cup. Well, Keith originally thought it was the dumbest song he'd ever heard. He liked it. He thought it was fun and recorded it. And it was one of a few songs of which he didn't write or co-write. The song was Keith's last big hit, specifically his crossover hit. While only reaching 9 on the Hot Country charts, it was his highest showing on the Hot 100, peaking at number 15. And in 2015, he was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. You didn't need to be a country fan to know the name Toby Keith over the course of his career. Whether you liked him or not, he left a lasting impression on music in his time. He made 19 studio albums, 2 Christmas albums, 5 compilation albums. He had 61 singles hit the country charts, including 20 number ones, 22 that reached the top 10, and overall his album sales have totaled 40 million. This was just meant to be a quick rundown of the life of Toby Keith for those of you who are fans or just heard his name in the last couple days. I urge you to go, whether you are a fan or not, take a deeper dive and maybe you'll find a song or two that you like. And again, leave a comment on your connection with Toby Keith. And if you enjoyed the video, I'd love if you checked out some others, and if you like those, I'd love if you subscribed. Thanks, and have yourself a good one.